Hello, hello, and I might need a little bit of help here. I am back from Gen Con. Let's just move some things out of the way now. And between some games that have shown up and things purchased at Gen Con, well, I have quite a stack of games to look at and go through here. Some of the big ones weren't even on the screen there, mainly because I didn't want to move them more than I have to. Those I'll probably be diving in and unboxing a little bit more, but for some of the smaller ones, we're just going to talk about what they are and, well, why I got them. Tonight's drink, just a gin and tonic. Something nice and refreshing and relaxing. First one I've had with this Esme gin. Quite good. So, like I said, back from Gen Con, and I have to learn Stars of Karios so that hopefully I can get that set up and ready to play for Wednesday. I haven't had a chance to learn it yet, but I have tomorrow off, so I can probably take some time to learn it, set it up on the table, mess around with it a little bit, and be ready to start on Wednesday. But we're not here to talk about Stars of Karios. Yeah. We're here to talk about what I got at Gen Con. And we're actually going to skip... Well, we're going to start not with Gen Con. We're going to start with things that I have gotten recently. So, I mean, this is probably within the month before Gen Con. And, well, there's a number of things. First being Kingdom Rush. And this is one I do want to pop open, just to kind of look at everything in here. There is a fair amount in there. I have my knife, trusty knife up there. Let's put it over here. Kingdom Rush from Lucky Duck Games was not necessarily a game super high on my list to buy. I was always curious about it because it is tower defense, and I like tower defense. Though I've never played the video game that this is based on. Okay, this is weird. A little cardboard dividers. Does that mean we're going to have extra room at the top? We have stickers, rules, a map, ton of punch boards, things like that, tiles. And then down in here, some more things, cards, whatnot. I really don't know why there's so much space in this box. I'm wondering, because this was a Kickstarter, if some of that is room for expansions, though that makes it very annoying because I can't set anything on top of it. And also, could have had a box that much shorter. Alright. Figure out where to set this one. Then one sent to me by Korea Board Games to review here. This is going to be a family weight hidden movement game as you're trying to find out where like a car is, and you use police helicopters to figure that out. One person, what does it say? 2 to 4 players, 20 minutes. Curious to try this one. I like the look of it. It definitely has a little bit of that mass market look, but not really in a bad way. I'm not going to pop that one open. Probably do more coverage on that, bigger video on that later. And then a game that I've been looking at for a while, Arcadia Quest from Simon, or come on, Simon. And this is going to be kind of that little battler objectives, dice chucking game that I'm excited to try. It was used, there were a whole bunch of expansions for it. I only bought the base game. I want to try it. Maybe I'll go back to the game store, see if they still have the expansions. If they do, maybe just start to slowly add them. But all of that, plus one more here, came pre-Gen Con. However, the one more, I'm going to actually save to the very end. But before I go through a little bit more of what I bought, let's chat about Gen Con as a whole, because that was a really fun 4 days of gaming. So, one of the articles I'll be doing soon on nerdologist.com will be going through all of the games that I played. I believe I played 26 different games with a total of 28 different gameplays. Now, that doesn't mean a full gameplay of every game. Some of them were a few rounds, but enough to give you an idea of the game. And definitely some fun ones in there that I wouldn't mind checking out more. Asking for Troubles, Flamecraft, both of those very high on the list of ones that I got to play a little bit. Wouldn't mind trying more, though they're still just at that edge if I would want to pick them up for myself. Especially with one of the other games that I played, which I'll talk real quick about right now, First Rat. First Rat was probably one of the bigger games of the convention in terms of it had a lot of hype going in just because of the interesting theme. You are rats taking trash of, let's see, I believe it, a can, baking powder, vinegar, and a calculator, and putting that together to create your little rat rocket ship to go to the moon, because the moon is made of cheese. It's really a game about collecting things and turning them in for points, but it was so much fun to play, and I did get to play a full game of that. I actually thought I was going to get stomped in that game by one of the players. I was demoing it with Dad and his daughter, and the dad was clearly very intrigued by the idea of this game and wanted to check it out. And it was closer than I thought, and we went very different directions on things. So I want to mess around with it some more because it had some very interesting, very fun, or very interesting decision space and good mechanics behind it, with a theme that it was fun. If that was just kind of what you would expect for a game like that, trading in the Mediterranean, something like that, I wouldn't have been interested. But sending a rat to the moon because the moon is made of cheese, that's a fun theme. All right, so first Gen Con purchase. 3 more expansion maps for Cartographers, as well as the Hero promo bundle this goes with Cartographers Heroes, which is the latest Kickstarter. So I think it was, I want to say $35 for all of these, and this one is a double big because I think he used 2 sheets at a time. So they come with sheets and a few cards to be able to mix in. I need to play this one more with the different maps, but I really like Cartographers as a roll and write game. So much fun. Some people call it a flip and write game because you don't actually roll dice for stuff, but it's a roll and write. Then, talk about one that was free. A demo deck plus some cards for a little NFL game where it's offense versus defense. It's from Panini, which is a company that makes sports cards. It's a fine little game. It's basically rock, paper, scissors, where the defense, instead of it's like a harder version of rock, paper, scissors, because instead of the option of, if I throw a rock, you can throw rock and tie, or paper and win. Here, if I throw rock, paper doesn't win, scissors don't win, only throwing another rock wins. So you have like a 1 in 3 chance. But it was fun. And all of this stuff was free for just having sat down and demoed it, which I liked. I mean, I'm never going to say no to something free. This is like a 2019 demo box, so of course they don't really care if they get rid of it. Couple other free things. There is a free promo for Red Dragon Inn, a game that I don't own. But a buddy owns it, and so promo card for him. And then this was handed out, Pocket Paragons. This is like a little dual deck for it. QR code to learn how to play it on the back. It was free, so for sure I'll take it, and I'll even try it. Looks like a little kind of battler game, which, I mean, there are plenty of them out there. I even bought one of them, Hero Realms. So I played this once as a demo there and got absolutely crushed. But I liked it in terms of like a nice light deck builder. And they had a deal with bundle to get the Rune of Thandar campaign deck, which allows you to play cooperatively. Has a little adventure to it. I think it takes it to 1 to 5 player. And then what you need to play it are heroes, which of course don't come in this box. So this is not, I mean, it's expansion. They expect you to have base box. I'm assuming the base box you can play with these heroes. And then a couple more villain packs or boss packs for a dragon and a lich. I'm excited to test that one out. It's kind of on that edge of, I don't know, it's just a nice, you can play it 2-player head to head, and now to have the option to play cooperatively. Let's continue to move. Like I said, I got absolutely destroyed when playing it. Oh yeah, and I'll show off this too, because I was really excited when I saw this. Not this side, though this is fun too. The Dawn of Ulus, another game in the role player world. This one is an economic game, as you basically are bidding on factions and creating larger areas. But this is the one that is exciting to me. So I really like role player adventures. It is a fun little cooperative, big cooperative story, kind of choose your own adventure game. It's probably balanced for 3 players. At 4, it's a little bit easy, but a lot of fun. And this is going to be another story campaign expansion for it. So they have an expansion already that has just a whole bunch of story for backstories, and then you have your main campaign. This is going to be another kind of main campaign type of thing. Apologize for the small elephant walking around upstairs. The toddler is very much in not sleeping mode. So hopefully, for his sake, he will soon. Let's see. Then, kind of deciding on an order here, we have Remix. So this is Fantasy Realms, but with a Marvel theme on it, and I think a slight twist to it. I am interested in this one because, it's a Marvel themed game, which I'll be actually talking more about that coming up. Well, let's just talk about it quick now too. So we'll finish talking about this, then talk about the other Marvel themed thing. So this is basically a hand management game where you are trying to build up your best hand of cards in order to score the most points possible. Fairly simple concept, but throw a Marvel theme on it, I'm interested. And it's not an expensive game either, so solid one to check out. Really didn't think about where I was going to put any of these games once I showed them off. Then we have Lost Ruins of Arnak Expedition Leaders. I picked this one up after having played for the first time ever Lost Ruins of Arnak there. I have it up on my shelf. I just haven't gotten around to playing it before. And I had some really good teachers for it, where they were sitting down as a group of 3 just to play it kind of to start out a day. And I was interested in it, so they invited me to the table. They had played it before, or 2 of them had played it before. I hadn't. The other person hadn't. And so the one who knew it best sat down, taught it, and I was really impressed by Lost Ruins of Arnak. I think the game itself looks more intimidating than it actually is. And Expedition Leaders is supposed to just add more to the game. Like more artifacts and items. But the big thing it adds is more, or not more, but expedition leaders. And these expedition leaders each have their own thing that they can do, which means you start from a slightly different place. And in the base game on the easiest map, it's basically race up kind of this research track or discovery track and score your points that way. You want to make it to the top, at least on one side of it. Whereas this now is going to give you a little bit more or different things to focus on. We're getting down to it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more games to go here. So probably an okay time to pause for half a second and just talk about the Gen Con experience, because this was second time only I've been to Gen Con. I did 2019, 2020 I did the online Gen Con. 2021 I did the pop-up Gen Con here at the Game Center. And now in 2022 I was back in Indy, and it was really nice to be back there. I went with kind of a different schedule and different plan than I have before, because I was at Gen Con by myself this time versus having other people around or going with somebody else. And so kind of sharing the whole, all right, what do we want to try? There's some upsides and downsides to that. I think it's more of a downside because there were times where I would walk up to a table, like for a game, Bark Avenue. Not super interested in that game, but it was a game. It was open. Nobody was sitting down to demo it. And because I was just one person, I got a spiel about the game versus kind of an actual demo of the game. And so having one other person makes a difference, because then with the demo where you're potentially at, or normally at 3 people, somebody will walk by and can be grabbed into a game. So that was a little bit of a downside, but I also had then the chance to meet up with, from the Table Knots YouTube channel and the Discord, a couple, 3 other people from there, and we wandered the halls for a little while. And actually, I was going to do a different game first, but one of them that we played and that I picked up and had the designer sign, because he was the one who taught us the game at the demo table, is Paint the Roses. This one, I think this one will stick around on my shelf for a long time, just because it is a really pretty simple game, but a fun one. You're trying to figure out the cards that everybody else has around the table. So it might be I have a card that has roses, 2 roses on it. So everybody else has to figure out is that, okay, I have 2 roses. So on my turn, I might place down a tile into the garden here with a rose on it, and if it's placed next to another rose, I put a cube on it because it's placed next to one other rose. So there's one example of what I put down with what it's next to of roses. But if there's 2 roses next to it, I put down 2 cubes. And so you're able to start to eliminate different possibilities of what my card might be based off of that. But every turn you have to guess. You have to make a guess. So you might guess on mine, or maybe I put down a rose with a heart, and that makes a heart and 3 clubs next to each other, and somebody's card is a heart and a club. They put down 3 cubes on the tile I just put down, and we can guess for theirs as well. It's really fun, cooperative deduction game, trying to stay ahead of the Queen of Hearts, who wants to take off your heads, because, I mean, her ideal scenario is she catches you the very last turn, has her garden perfectly painted, and gets to lop off your heads. But simple, but very thinky. Then one I think I'm going to pop open again. Long Shot, the dice game. This is a horse bidding, horse racing, roll and write game about buying horses, bidding on horses, and trying to end the game with the most winnings either from your horse that you've bought placing, or from the bids you made paying off. This is the Kickstarter version that they were selling there. So nice magnetic clasping box. They also did Roll and Write, the Roll and Write game. This must be a special thing, but then you have your character sheet, basically, or your sheet, Roll and Write sheet. You have your board, racetrack. You can play good number of players. Horses. A little thing to mark the finish line in case you forget where that is. This little jockey helmet is actually, on the back side, a dry erase marker. So then you have horses and starting cards in here that you would normally have from the base game, but you have then a few mini expansions, a couple of horses sets, and track, which allows you to potentially mess with the track. But pretty cute horses. Pretty nice horses. I played this one on the last day. Wasn't really planning on making any purchases the last day. But this one, I mean, it was on my list. I was surprised they hadn't sold out. I'm not sure, they might have been restocking every day. And I played almost first thing on Sunday. So it's possible they just hadn't sold through everything they brought out for that day. But really fun roll and write game. Second best horse racing game I played at Gen Con. And I think with more plays of that one, it might be better than the other one I played. I forgot to do the Marvel news too. So let's talk about the other game I played and then get back to the Marvel news. No, Jazz, I am just kind of going through anything that I bought. I have 3 boxes left, and all of them are the big boxes. One of them, this one, I didn't even buy at Gen Con, but came the day before Gen Con, and so I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. But the other horse racing game I played was Ready, Set, Bet, a real-time horse racing betting game. So in that game, one person is the caller of the race, and they have a couple of dice, and they are rolling those dice, moving horses along the track, and based off of whatever number is rolled. So if you roll a 7, it moves forward 1. If you roll like a 2, it moves forward 1. Then you roll a 2 again. I think it moves forward like 4 that time because it's less likely to move. So if you can do it twice in a row, it gets a big boost. Meanwhile, everybody else is making bets in real time as it's going on with betting chips that they have onto this board with spots where only one person can bet. So you're trying to, as the race is shifting, getting your bets. You don't want to bet too early because there's a cost if you bet wrong. But if you wait too late, now you're missing out on the payout for a lot of them. And so it was so much fun. And then Marvel, Fantasy Flight Games announced Marvel daggers. Let me see if I can find it. Of course, that's taking me to actual daggers. See if maybe Fantasy Flight has it on their site, because I want to remember what that stands for. No, of course not on their actual site. But basically, it is going to be a Marvel board game. So not an expansion for Marvel Champions. I'm really hoping it's going to be a Marvel version of something like Imperial Assault or Mansions of Madness, using the new app stuff that they have for Descent, Legends of the Dark. Because that would be so fun to have an app integrated Marvel game that has a little bit more story to it than Marvel Champions does, than the dice chuckers of Marvel Zombies will, and then the really light gameplay of Marvel United. But at Gen Con, I played no games that had Marvel as a theme. I did play one with Batman as a theme. Batman, Everybody Lies. This was an event to learn how to play the game, play the prologue scenario, getting taught by Ignacy Trzewiczek, who is the designer, one of the designers of this game. And it was a lot of fun. So I have enjoyed Detective and Modern Crime Story. I have played through all of that. I have played through one of the expansions for that. And again, a ton of fun. This takes Batman theme, which makes sense, but you don't play as Batman. You play as characters from the Batman comics who kind of do their own investigating as well, or who will work with Batman from time to time. And we beat the scenario. No problem. I mean, it's a prologue scenario. It's meant to go fast. We did it with the highest possible score you can get. I think a 6 out of 6. I'm pretty sure most of the groups did that. And then because it was part of an event and they had to open up all these copies of Everybody Lies, we then had the option of buying it at basically half price. And so myself and a couple who are close to me, who are at my table, who I know, they bought it, and then I sent them money for half of it as well. And we got Ignacy to sign it, as well as apparently draw a cow on it, which is just great. So 2 games that the designers signed, which is kind of fun to be able to brush elbows with people who you know of in the industry, or to meet somebody like Ben Goldman, who made Paint the Roses, and be able to learn his game from him. Now, we're down to the big 2. Which one do I want to do first? Let's do this one. Of course, not the one next to me. There's just more to open up with that one. Here You might know what it is from the color. Maybe. But that piece is not something you'd recognize as likely. And this about did in my back one day because I carried it around for about 2 hours, which was too much. Burn Cycle from Chip Theory Games, and this is a heavy box. It's a Chip Theory Games, so it's of course going to be heavy because it has chips, it has neoprene mats, and it is getting open as we speak, or as I speak. So there were two big games that I thought I might leave Gen Con with. The one being Burn Cycle, the other one being My Father's Work. My Father's Work was selling out every morning. They would release, I think, a few every morning, and you had to be very much on top of it. So there's this little baggie, which this came with it. So I have Too Many Bones Undertow and the most recent Too Many Bones Kickstarter or Game Found. So I have those with the one coming, the most recent one coming. And so I wasn't necessarily looking to grab more Too Many Bones at that point in time. Why this one over, I guess the other one they had for sale there was Cloudspire. This one, the theme interested me more. This idea of, so humans invent robots, robots take over, then humans come back stronger, and you're playing as the robots who need to sneak around these corporations. I kind of like that idea better than the tower defense aspect of Cloudspire. Just the whole theme of this one was more interesting. I did get to see Hoplomachus Victorum, not as a demo, but just kind of talked through how it worked. Had that been there, I might have gone that way instead of Burn Cycle, because that one looks really fun as well and is a purely solo game. But Burn Cycle, yeah, just looked like a lot of fun. I was going to throw the silica gel on the floor, but 100% there will be cats in this room tomorrow. Plus, they were talking, or I was talking to one of the people who was kind of demoing it, and I agree with him in that. So we have a bunch of different books here. That it is probably a game that is more apt. So you have a learn to play, a rules reference, and a floor plan. I think there might even be a scenario, something in here. But this is one that they might add like a campaign style expansion to. Sorry, this is going to be noisy as I open up this one. And I am interested in campaigns. So you have your player dashboards here for your different robots. So I think these are your missions here. It is a Chip Theory game, so hefty thing of chips. They even have orange. Yes, there's an orange playmat. I can actually play as orange. Stick this all back in for right now. And continue looking at a little bit of burn cycle here. Because I went with the gameplay bundle they were selling. So gameplay bundle, I think it saved you about $5 on the base game and these two expansions, and then got you this nicer bag versus this pretty standard one for free. So that was about a $20 upgrade, so about $25 total, I would say, which I wasn't going to do the one that added in like the little metal minis that like snap into place, anything like that. But adding in a few more chips and some new robots. I really hope I can fit all of this in the base box. That might be tomorrow's goal, is to get it all into a singular box. I think I should be able to. This one is going to be more questionable. So, the game comes with a certain number of robots and a certain number of corporations. No, Dr. Witt's board game, I did not grab the wrestling RPG. RPGs are tough for me to pick up. I keep on picking them up, and then I'm always like, well, I'm gonna play D&D because I have a group for that, and that's what I've been running for a long time. But I am so curious about that wrestling RPG. I just want a wrestling board game. That would be easier for me to get to the table, and something like I have the mass market Royal Rumble one, but not quite the same. So a little bit of neoprene, threat track, some scenario cards, just another combination to be able to play this game. Yeah, that's going to fit in there. And just look at this. They even created the interior of the box. I think that is just kind of the map. But to print that on the inside of the box instead of just having plain, that is cool. And then finally, this one I did not pick up at Gen Con. This one I had backed a while ago on Kickstarter. And it is a beast of a game. What I have here is the smallest possible version of the game you can get. Oath sworn. Giant rat on the front. I don't have the minis. This is the Standees version. The minis version comes with a whole separate box full of minis. And then I think an additional whole separate box full of terrain minis, if you got that. And if I wasn't planning on doing Stars of Icarios, okay, this game noisy. But I wasn't planning on doing Stars of Ikarios first. This one might make the top of the list. That is the first boss that you face. There is a warning here. Tells you not to open unless told to do so. Various things. And a prepare. So the reason why there is the raise on this is because you have all these secret envelopes. Normally these envelopes, they would be, I believe they are going to be the monsters for the scenarios, kind of the boss ones. So normally that's in a separate box. And then they did something else cool with a push fit system. I see one. See a couple of them that are definitely going to need that. All right, dude. Where did your head fall? Probably this one. Maybe? Maybe this one. But basically, you can pop it apart, put an arm on, squeeze, arm is in place, flail. I'm curious to see how this holds up long term. Then I feel like it is that other head. Don't see any other loose heads floating around, so so it's a little bit of a toy. Arm fell off. So if I do that, I'm going to mess around with this for half a second. Yeah, that feels right. Trying not to lose the head here. I think I lost it to the floor. That almost feels like it is just slightly misprinted for this one. Great. Head fell yet again. I'm going to have to look for it later. Well, in a few seconds once I'm done with the stream. But everything else, besides that head, take it. put it in place. I had this one in earlier. Squish, squish. Holds together pretty well. And one of the big things is you could have ordered a box that had armory stuff for it. Now that's going to be bugging me until I find it. So I'm going to have to wrap up this stream before I go insane and just go off screen looking for it. But you could have gotten an armory. Oh, there it is. Didn't fall as far as I thought. Let's see. Looks like it should go that way. I'm sure it will fit. If not, because I didn't buy the armory, I don't need to worry about gluing them. I can glue them together if I want. If you bought the armory, that then gave you stuff you could swap in and out. So we're gonna maybe do a slightly more official unboxing of this, but other channels have done that already. If you had ordered in the US, everything that came first by a little bit, just based off of ships. And so there's content out there for this already. I got to play it at the Shadowborn booth, and it was a lot of fun. A very, very simplified scenario, but one that I could tell with the combat I was going to like how it worked. Plus, the combat's only half the game because you're doing a boss battler with combat, and then the first half of the game is going through everything and like figuring out who you're going to be facing off against, kind of solving a mystery before you take on the combat. But that is everything that I got at Gen Con, plus a couple extra things that had shown up in the meantime. You can probably hear it. I have a cat trying to break in at the door. So I'm going to wrap up this stream, but hopefully that was a little bit of fun to look through and see what I did pick up. And then, as I was saying, Wednesday I'm going to try and start playing Stars of Akarios, which honestly I'll probably wrap up this stream and start reading those rules. But if you enjoyed this content, give the video a thumbs up, leave a comment. Which game would you want to get to the table first out of all of them that I showed off? With that, bottoms up.